Well, it was a quick evacuation this morning. Literally come in here and into Central Station last night or yesterday afternoon, and we already packed up and out of here one day after. Just started raining this morning, and we thought we'll duck into Detouring, I think it's called, and get some reception and see what the weather's doing. Looks like there's a massive front coming out, 100% of 15 to 35 mil, so we're like, well, we only have one day left here anyway. We might just pack up and get going.
Well, we've just packed up in a hurry. It started raining last night, in the middle of the night, which was beautiful. Just down a rain on the tent, but that rain is not going away, so there's 20 mil coming, and we're leaving tomorrow anyway, so we thought rather than huddling under the awning all day, we might get started and get out of here and go somewhere else, get off the island. And unfortunately that means we're going to miss Lake Mackenzie. That was our to-do list today, but none of us feel like getting any wetter than what we already are after packing up. So yeah, we'll head back to Rainbow Beach and probably start making our way home slowly. We'll see what happens though. We've got plenty of time to kill, so we just had a trip full of rain over in Coff, so it's not really something we feel like doing at the moment. So we're all on the same page. Just heading back to Detouring now, and then it's out on the beach and back to the barge. When we get out onto the beach, we see just how bad the weather's getting. The ocean's blowing up high onto the sand, leaving only soft sand to drive on. This leaves us crawling a lot slower for a couple of hours until finally making it to the barge. From there, it's time for an intense wash and the drive home can start. Again, the Outback is wetter than usual, and it makes for a much more interesting drive through what is usually hot and dry.
Well, we're just driving into Connemala. This town means more to us than most do, actually. 2 times we've been through this town, and the first time we were coming back from, I reckon Cape York must have been in 2016.
Heading up, I think.
So heading up, was it?
Yeah.
It was, yeah, one of the two. Elise and Mark made a bet that Elise wouldn't finish her burger from the servo, and Elise, obviously stubborn,
Smashed it out of the pot.
So that was the first little Connemala story. The second was coming home from Cape York as well, and right here Mark ran out of fuel in the Jeep. So yeah, there's a couple of Connemala stories for you. Changing plans again due to water and road closures. We just filled up here at Connemala, good old-fashioned Connemala, where we found out that our burger challenge place is shut down. So heading back out the way we came, and then heading down the Mitchell Highway towards the border. We were going to go to Thargomindah via Ulo, but the roads are closed and rising still. The main bridge is underwater by, they said, 0.7, and that was like 12 hours ago. Actually not quite 12 hours ago. So we have to find another route. I think there's more water coming too, as far as the weather reports go, so we sort of need to be in front of it rather than stuck in it. Although that could be a bit of fun, right?
No. Not at all.
So we're going to find a camp pretty close, somewhere down the Mitchell Highway, get onto Wiki Camps and find somewhere to stay.
Not far down the road, we find somewhere well off the highway to pitch a tent. And after scratching a bit of a fire together, this will be us for the night. The following morning, after only travelling an hour or two, we come to a stop. Well, out of nowhere, started getting a bit of a ticking noise. Or not even a ticking noise, maybe a hissing noise. So I pulled over. As I pulled over, then it shut itself down.
We're thinking it's fuel related. Doesn't seem like it's getting any fuel. We're going to make sure we've got fuel because the lift pump down, the manual lift pump for priming, doesn't seem to have any pressure on it. So we reckon for some reason it's just lost prime. So the lift pump is that silver thing down there. So that runs off the motor, but there is a manual override, or like a manual pump underneath it, like a lever. That doesn't seem to have any pressure on it. So we're thinking that that is the cause, because that is that's in line first from the tank, then it goes to the filter, and then to the actual fuel pump, high pressure pump.
Only other thing in line between the tank and that lift pump, I think, is just this sediment filter.
That's disgusting.
Look at it on my hand, it's like orange.
That's heaps better now.
Yeah.
Jam that bastard back in. Well, the strap's coming out. What are we, 50, maybe 60 k's out from Burke? We're just going to tow it in. Even if we're almost certain it's that lift pump, we can't get any manual pressure to pump up with the lever underneath it. So even if we got it off here, which is easy enough to do, it's still, we're not going to be any further with the problem, unless we, yeah. So we'll just deal with it in there. We'll have some reception too, so we've got nothing here. I think it's 50 k's. We'll back on the toad. Well, we're back on the road. Not the right way though. Marco is hooked up to me and we're towing him to Burke, which, going by this, runs about 50 k's or so.
When you get tension, just go real easy. I just need to confirm it's in neutral.
Yep, no dramas. How we feeling back there, Marco?
Yep, feels good.
You got some brakes?
Yeah, it's a hard pedal, but I've got brakes.
Yeah, nice. Towed Mark into not Cobar, Burke, relatively big place, so we've got some service and whatever, we can do a bit of research, but we're still thinking it's probably the lift pump. We're going to eliminate a couple other things, like the tank sucking air. So with the stalk, the suction stalk, the pickup may have snapped off, or it may have a crack in it somewhere up, and you get down to a certain level of fuel and it sucks air. Could be a possibility. Another possibility is at the bottom of that suction stalk, could be a blockage there, could have sucked up a bit of crap. So we're going to undo a few bits and pieces, blow some air through, clear some lines, make sure they're flowing fuel. Then we're going to pressure up the tank, and hopefully we can get fuel past the lift pump and up to the filter with the bleed screw open. So yeah, that's the plan. Hopefully we get this thing moving.
Push a bit of air up, both back into the tank and up the line to see if we can, there should be diesel in the line somewhere. Should be able to just crack the bleeder up the front and force diesel up there, just in case there's something in there. Any pressure or anything?
Nothing. Yep, I got diesel. I reckon I'm getting something up here. Yeah, I got diesel here.
Try the manual.
What's the plan, Marco?
Well, we've just ducked down to BP, literally 100 metres away. We picked ourselves up an electric fuel pump, lift pump, fuel pump. So these little things just pump fuel. And a lot of people do replace these lift pumps with an electric unit like this, so it's worth a shot for the sake of $50. If it's not this, then it's kind of game over and call professionals. Well, we've got our pump. We're just about to hook up to our original lines. So just a couple more hose clamps and then we'll kick it over, turn this pump on, see if that's going to feed any fuel. With no luck trying all of the simple options, it's time to call it quits, as we've wasted hours by the side of the road getting nowhere. We tow the Defender to a campground and I make the call to roadside assist. Well, we've just towed it to a park. We're staying here anyway. I mean, ideally, perfect world, we wanted to get another probably 300 or 400 k's under our belt today. But it is what it is. So we're staying in Burke tonight. We've exhausted every possibility, called some experts who know these vehicles a lot better than me. And I think going by everything, the last call is probably a timing belt snapped. So we're just about to crank it over again just to see if anything's moving in the top of the engine here. So Angus, you want a bit of giver? Yeah. Yep. No movement. Nothing. So timing belt, I'm guessing.
Really? That's.
What are the chances? God. What are the chances? Just cruising along. Like it is a common, not a common problem with these, but it is well known that you do have to do regular changes. And this was changed. So it was on my radar, but I was like, yep, I'll make sure I get it in on around the 80,000 k to 100,000 k's, which is kind of about that is what they recommend.
There is some positive in the fact that it's not like doing the timing chain in the Jeep.
Yeah, that's right.
As
It's not total. Usually, it's not total engine disaster. It could be just a couple bent push rods, but you have to take it all apart and make sure. Considering it wasn't very noisy, I'd say it's hard to say, but you wouldn't think there'd be too much damage because I didn't notice any banging around. And look, better here than on Fraser Island where we were a couple of days ago. So as far as
imagine that on the beach on the way to the ferry with the tide.
The beach was a struggle to drive as it was. So towing a 3-ton car would have been.
Yep. I mean, we've been lucky when these things seem to go.
Yeah. But well, last time it was on a $1,000 track. This time it was on the highway, which is a bit nicer. Anyway, now we've just got to work out how to get it home. So, the rest of the convoy head for home, while Christy and myself spend a couple bonus nights enjoying the Outback, waiting for a tow. A timing belt left too long between services, ending an otherwise amazing trip.